republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a roll call, please.
Roll call, Dan Miller. Tom Wise.
Here.
Derderian. Phil Bellinger.
Here.
Nick Holden.
Here.
Dan Gould. George Nash.
Okay, I get a motion to approve approval of the
I'll
agenda
motion.
presented.
I'll motion to approve the agenda as presented for February 14, 2024.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed to that? Okay, move on to the approval of the minutes for January 10th, 2024. Make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 10th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting minutes as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, welcome everybody, and I want the planning commission board to, we have a new planner tonight, we have Mr. Dan Keller. Jason Ball, I understand, is no longer with Rowe. Okay, now, other comments that are not on tonight's agenda.
Okay.
Really?
Susan Huck, 5047 Blood Road, and I just wanted to talk to you for a couple minutes about these things, the feather pennants. Last summer, driving back and forth up and down M24, I felt like I was on a Carnival Midway. There's just so many of them out there now. I know we have a sign ordinance. You guys did a great job discussing part of it last month. And you pointed out, for example, the sign on the Amish market can't be more than 2 feet too big. It has to be within the sign limitations. We've got an ordinance that says that there won't be any streamers, wind-blown devices, spinners, temporary or portable signs, pennants, or flags other than those permitted by local, state, or federal statute or case law. Ordinance also says portable and vehicle advertising signs are hereby prohibited, regardless of form, size, character, placement. A portable sign is not permanently anchored or secured to either a building or the ground. And these are definitely portable signs. And with summer coming, the ground softening up, we're gonna just see a whole bunch more popping in. I don't object to, we're having an open house. Put up a sign, welcome people in, take it down. But these have been there basically permanently. Some of them have been there so long that their material has fluttered away. They just look terrible. So I just took some from 24 in Dryden Road, and I thought I'd leave it with Darlene if she wants to put it with the minutes. I didn't want to bother everybody with one because you all drive up 24, you know what it looks like. So I'm just asking you to work on enforcement for that. I know we've got Joe to enforce the ordinances, and I know our local Metamora police can enforce ordinances as well. And I would hope that somebody would just go talk to our business owners and try to keep the looks of our community the way we want it to be, neat and tidy and not cluttered. And that's all. Thank you.
Karen Brashenko, last name Brashayko, and I live in the village of Metamora. So I want to talk a little bit about what happened in the last meeting. Don't worry, I'm not going to pass it on in papers because apparently that's kind of threatening. Even if it is just the document that is from the township itself. But I did file a complaint last month, George, and you did not give me 3 minutes. You interrupted for 48 seconds, and you cut me off before the original 3 minutes anyway. So per the Open Meeting Act, Section 5, a person must be permitted to address the meeting of a public body under the rules established and recorded by the public body. You said 3 minutes, you didn't give me 3 minutes. There's no rule about paper here, passing out paper, you just decided to forbid me from doing it. You want me to put it on the table over there. Well, I am addressing you guys, they can hear all of that, but I'm not gonna make paper for everybody in the audience. I want the paper to go to you guys, because that's who we are supposed to address as the public here. So that's, and one of the principles in here is fairness. And that's what my previous complaint was, in one of these planning commission meetings, and all of these loud men got to continuously just interrupt us as we were speaking, even accuse us of things. We were limited in our speech and they were not, and that is not fair, and that is not the principles that we're supposed to follow in a democracy, but especially in this township where they've been laid out. So what I was talking about last time before I was interrupted was I hope that you guys are learning about bias. I hope you are redoing your own research about conflict of interest, because again, this is a very entwined place here in this township. And when you guys, so I've been to other township meetings where when people are nominated for positions or appointed to positions, they say why they're doing that. They say what the qualifications are, why they think this person would be good in that position. That doesn't happen here. They just go, oh, we would like this person in this position, everybody votes and that's it. There's no debate, there's no, yeah, I think this person would be good because of that. So that's especially why. And especially because you guys have family members and friends that you might be voting on. So you gotta really think that through. And I also think the tax change. A lot of us are really concerned about that tax change that sends stuff straight to the ZBA and not through here. The best party barn went straight through the ZBA. There was no, I mean, they have a hand-drawn site plan, and now they are going beyond that site plan from what I could see in one of their Facebook posts. That they're having sites for ceremonies that are not on that site plan. Nobody's overseeing it. No one's looking out for public safety because the public is going to be going there. I hope that you would all consider taking the ethics class. It's one thing to work in a business or do something in private, but when you work in government, I think you should know the basic principles of ethics. And if you haven't taken one, it's really not that complicated. Take one. There's a free one on Coursera that I took during the pandemic. It was great. Gives you a really good little basis. Thank you.
Okay. Move along. Anyone else?
Chairman, the signs that Ann-Huff's talking about,
Yes.
this township runs on a complaint basis. So if a complaint's filed, then the supervisor will dispatch either a building inspector or a planning commission member, or me, the zoning administrator, to enforce the zoning ordinance. So unless, the township wants to hire a full-time OEO guy to go look at the ordinance violations anywhere and everywhere, that's something you'll have to bring up with your township board. Can they appropriate funds for something like that? But I just want to let everybody know it's a complaint-based.
Is there a complaint form or something? I've not found one online. Is it not
I don't know
online?
if it's online, but
You have it, Joe?
Well, Dave Best's office, or Sue's
Okay.
office forwards it to me, so.
Okay.
So that's what I had to say, Chairman. You're welcome, sir.
Okay. New business. We have a site plan application, Julie Bird, for 600 West Dryden Road. So, would you like to go first, or would?
Up to you. I'd be happy to go first. I'd be happy to let the applicant go first. Up to you all.
I'm not sure how I go first, so if Ben would like to go
Absolutely.
first, all right.
Sure thing. Oh, hello, everybody. My name is Ben Keller. I'm a planner at Rowe. As you all know, we lost Jason Ball recently. He changed jobs, so I'm going to step up and do some more work for you all soon. I've been kind of working in the background with Metamora. I've done most of the site plans that have come through here in the last 2 years. I have done a lot of work on. Jason would come and present, but like Taco Bell and a few others that we've had recently, I did all the reviews, so I'm pretty familiar with the township. So we have a request in front of us tonight for a site plan review, 600 Dryden Road, just our neighbor here. As I was prepping tonight, I was thinking maybe we could just have the meeting on site.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of rare, but obviously too dark. So, friendly reminder to everybody that this applicant was approved for a conditional rezoning back in November, and that the intent of that conditional rezoning was to allow this proposed use to occur over there, which is an event venue. So they're proposing to redevelop that site slightly, and then occupy the space as an event venue. So we had the opportunity to conduct a preliminary and a final review of this case. So the applicant submitted their first submission to us, and then we completed our checklist, and then sent them a memo number 1, which I believe you all have. And then we shared that with the applicant, and then they sent us a revised site plan, and I believe that's the site plan you all have in front of you tonight. And then we edited our checklist and edited our memo, and then in front of you, you see our memo number 2, which has all the strike-through and the highlights that say addressed on it there. Their submission number 2 was very strong. They directly addressed all but one of our outstanding zoning compliance points. As you can see in the letter, when it says addressed, that means that it was outstanding after submission 1, and then submission 2 corrected that outstanding requirement. So I will draw your attention to that one outstanding point now that's summarized on page 2, about midway down the page. Section 1514, parking space layout standards. I'm going to read this comment to you straight from the letter here. So a continuous obscuring wall, not less than 4.5 feet in height, is required on all sides of a parking area that are within 300 feet of a residentially used parcel. And roughly, they're pretty close to 300 feet. We asked the applicant to confirm, and they put a little bit more information on their second submission. So to the north and to the east of the site is within 300 feet. And that's residential parcels that abut there to the north and to the east. So the Planning Commission can substitute this requirement of a wall with vegetation. And in this case, there is a fair amount of existing vegetation on site. It might be adequate. That's for you all to decide. And then you can see there that red comment in that section 1514, that's our comment from the second submission. And we state that this outstanding requirement was not addressed further in submission 2, and that the applicant had a comment here that said, no wall is proposed in our site plan. We are asking for grace on the board as this property is lined with trees existing for screening. So that is the only outstanding point. One more thing I'll add before let you guys debate a little bit is on that checklist, sheets 8 through 12 are your standards of approval. And for each standard of approval there, we've got a few facts that are applicable to those standards, and then we've got some planning consultant comments in the boxes there. And we believe that the site plan satisfies all of the standards here, but once again, that's for you all to decide. So if there are any questions as you review those materials, I'd be happy to answer them.
And then, I think, can I make a comment there, or?
Yeah.
No, is that okay? What we took the intent of the ordinance to be was to screen vehicles from the residential view. And we just wanted to say that given the existing pine tree screening of the property, which we have already agreed to maintain and to keep in place, in the distance to any given residence, we're asking for the board to waive this requirement. I did go out and take some photos, which I knew would be dark tonight, and I knew that we wouldn't be on site. So I wondered if I might be able to share some of those photos with you, just so that you could get an idea. I didn't know if you'd have a chance to go out there before tonight or anything. So I did want to share those with you really quickly. So this is the front of the property, and I'll pass this down to you as well. This is if you pulled into, let's say I'm facing the property now and I pulled down that drive that goes around the front. This is the area here that is currently in place. So there's a corner of the building right there. This is facing east here. So as you can see, that screening is very thick there in the front. And I haven't gone through and stood on the road yet to see like if headlights would come through there, but I would say that it would be really, it's pretty grown up there as far as that area goes. So then that's addressing the front of the building. So then in looking at the back of the building, one thing I will say is that it appears, so this is facing from the tree line towards the parking lot. That's my car out there. That's just to kind of give you an idea of scale of how far it is. And we measured it, it was like 200 and... Yeah, give or take a lot.
It was probably like 250
30 to 250 feet or
Just
something.
228 here on the.
Yeah, so, okay, we did pretty good with our tape measure every 25 feet. So, so then, that's kind of the view from that tree line towards the parking lot there. And I will say that the tree line has been largely left as is, except it does appear that the trees have been trimmed by perhaps the owner of the property that abuts there. So this is a comparison, that's kind of like how it looks there. So you see that these were all trimmed up, these are not trimmed. So the trees do fall on the Mercino's property, so it would be my recommendation that we don't trim those trees. I don't know, Chris, that your parents have trimmed those trees, I think.
We did, we had them professionally landscaped.
You did?
Maintained, and you're saying pine, but they are spruce. We chose spruce for the thickness of them and the cover of them, and we did headlight test pulling into the property heading east, turning into the turnaround, where we literally were very cognizant of the neighbors. And even when we had the resistance here earlier in the previous months, they did appreciate us for doing that.
For doing that.
Yeah.
So we would probably, unless it was his preference, I would think he would want more privacy from, and I'd be fine with leaving that, or even, like I said, there could be additional plantings there or something that would help to alleviate that as well, but that's just the view from the parking lot looking up that hill there. So, so that's what we're asking, is just that there, and here's a more close-up of some of where the trees have been trimmed there. And then this is just an additional that I have. So we're just asking for you to potentially consider that as sufficient as is. And yeah. Thank you.
We had a tree split. What we did is we cut out like the vegetation and stuff, so that they wouldn't lose the bottom branches and stuff.
Oh, okay. So Chris just let us know that the trees in the back, they did not ever trim.
Yeah, no, we did not
The
trim
neighbor
those.
has trimmed them most likely, unless somebody.
No, in fact, in the back, we know we met the code when we first purchased the building from the daycare center to go there. And we actually put in more redundancy in spruce trees, just to build that buffer zone up. And I know for a fact, so my dad maybe helped put them in. And, so,
I have a question on the last picture that we've got right here. You can see the person's house back there. I'm not so sure about the headlights, but maybe noise.
That's what,
wise.
that's,
Do you think that you could put a hedgerow of some sort of shrub to cover up the gaps? You see how you?
yeah,
'cause-
that's the part that he actually has trimmed himself, the
Yeah.
neighbor did.
yeah.
The neighbor
That
The
was-
neighbor did
that was
that.
not
But
our-
I heard-
That was before.
Yeah, we didn't trim up, no, what I meant was we went through and we took out
We do the same.
weed
thing.
vegetation between the trees, so we didn't lose lower branches.
Yeah,
So that's what we were trying to maintain,
well, I was thinking if you maybe offset, brought it.
some
forward.
arborvitae's or something.
Yeah, something low, but to fill in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Arborvitae.
Yeah, maybe we took it upon himself to
Yeah,
do
he-
that on, it
Just to
wasn't
fill
on
in the
his,
gaps.
not on his property
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
on his property.
Right.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't though be, it probably wouldn't be the arborvitae, because they do require a lot of watering that first
Yeah,
year, and it's
and
way,
it's
it's
dry.
300 some feet back up on a slope. It would have to be something that was, more
Survives.
conducive, drought
Yeah,
conducive, yeah.
drought.
Mhm.
How many board members got the opportunity to drive around that and take a good look at it?
Well, I've been sick the last month, so I didn't go anywhere.
I know I've looked at it a couple times.
I mean, driving back.
I think a lot of gaps. A lot of gaps, a lot of places you
Yeah.
can pretty well see through, to my estimation. If we're trying to use these trees.
As
some
buffers.
of it, not all, as I see it. went by and looked, and like you're saying, you don't feel it's quite adequate either.
Yeah, because the noise does travel. We live in a tree, you know, we're surrounded by trees, and when we've got hunters out there, we can hear them talking. So it would be advisable if there was a hedgerow of some sort, where there are gaps.
Do you have any idea how old these trees are? I'm guessing they're 25, 30 years old.
Yeah,
Is my guess. I'm not an arborist, but
their life expectancy is about 50 years, because ours are starting to die out. Oh, yeah, they are. They've reached the maturity.
We'd be willing to put in some additional shrubbery, like you said, and, I mean, that's, as long as we can come to a conclusion on, you know,
Sure,
exact height
on
and
some
everything
kind
else. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think right offhand what survives.
there's a lot of Russian olive already
Yeah.
growing back here.
Yeah,
But no, probably,
Another row of spruce in front of these, you know, 10,
possibly,
20,
yeah.
20 feet in front of them.
Yeah, because
Double.
that way, you know, stagger them.
Well, it's a hardy tree.
Yeah,
Don't have to worry about
fill in the gaps.
It
no,
would
no
fill in
cedar.
the gap. Well,
Yeah.
as
No
those,
cedar. Deer love that. That's
Don't have to worry about tripping up. Yes,
yeah,
And just,
20 feet in front.
yeah.
because it would help cut down on the noise. If, you know, if there are.
I'm assuming that would be a lot easier than, doing a 4.5 wall,
Right,
you know?
Yeah, there's no sense putting a concrete wall.
no,
Yeah, I think that would be,
It'd be
no, I don't,
ridiculous.
I don't want a wall there. That's,
So. What are your thoughts? Myself, I just don't think that's quite enough to do the job that you want to do. That problem, yeah, I thought, well, it's, the road's right there, so are the houses. Some of it was fairly safe, some of it quite open.
but I think, does it have to only do with the parts of the property that are within 300 feet of a parking lot, though?
Well, yeah, I didn't measure
Uh,
exactly.
the standard really speaks to, it speaks to, so residentially used parcel, and it says, right, 300, if you're within 300 feet of any parcel. So it's really wherever your lot line hits their lot line. Yeah, so it's like, I could imagine if we tilted this line a little, that we'd still get 300 feet here
Yeah,
and 300 feet probably out there. So for the majority of that eastern property line, we're probably at 300 feet, I would say.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the applicant said that they would put some additional trees in.
Yeah.
As a zoning administrator, I could be the eyes and ears of the planning commission. Whatever you decide tonight to verify, visually look, and see that it meets the intent.
well, I think personally putting another row of trees would essentially match what's already there.
Well,
Fill in the gaps, take care of, you know, whatever concerns, you know, I think people would have. Over, like you say, putting a concrete wall in there.
right.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd rather have a row of trees than a concrete.
Like I say, that matches what's there already.
You might want to have to specify what height the tree should be. You know, we don't want any
Two.
1-foot seedlings in there.
No, no,
They
they have to be
Yeah.
a
Takes
certain.
forever to grow.
I use
Yeah,
Elling Tree Farm for my own trees in my own home, and he's always done a really nice job, and he's got a huge selection there.
It's like, yeah, like a 5 or 6 foot spruce or something.
Yeah, I'm sure, he drove us through there all over, I'm sure he's got that.
Yeah, 5 or 6 foot would be greater than the 4.5 foot concrete wall, so that would
yeah.
be sufficient.
It was a whole heck of a lot better.
A natural vegetation, green fence, so to speak.
The wall, I don't think really, you know, you get up there, you can see over the wall.
Right.
You can see everything down there to the north side. I mean, I've been by several houses that
tracks,
not in the
yeah,
city.
they're not in the city.
So there's about 480 foot, if that says it right, 486 foot across the back.
Yep.
And, you know, if you put them every 20 foot or 25 foot, you can divide
Space 'em.
that. You're talking 10, 15 trees. To plug in the gaps.
Trees, probably.
5, 6 foot tall, you said you looked at?
Yeah, you've got that there.
Yeah.
Then maybe a couple and a few of the gaps on the east side,
Right.
Yeah.
Lindsay Drive.
Yeah, there's, quite a few gaps there, once you get part way up,
Yeah, right up front,
Hollis Road.
the corner of it is pretty thick.
And are those, so that's still within 300 feet of those parcels and there?
It looks to be close.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would say if you're not comfortable with screening the entire lot lines, that maybe submit us a print that shows the distances specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion?
What are you specifically looking for?
Anyone give
That status, please.
a motion to, we can do whatever we might.
How is the motion has to be made? It would be made
To
to specify the height of trees as well as the type of trees?
Because I don't think it's really tight, it's the height.
Okay.
Something, we know cedar won't work because
The deer like
the deer will be,
Yeah,
they'll go
from
fence.
5 foot to nothing
Till
pretty
we-
quick.
the deer will eat pines too,
Yeah.
believe me.
They get hungry in them,
We
but this
can't-
winter they fed
We can't drink
them.
like
Yeah, they like rhododendron now.
The only good tomato plant now bear used to be, they wouldn't eat it, was tomato plant for nothing, now
They acquire a taste for whatever feeds their stomach.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I could, whatever the motion is, and whatever the desire of the planning commission is, you know, something that I have that's a factual number count, height count, something along that line, so I can verify, you know, they at least did that many.
Okay.
So I heard from the applicant, they were saying 5, 6 foot was okay. I said it was about 500 feet across, so that's gonna put you 15 trees there and maybe 5 more trees along the east side here where that gap is. You know, that would put us at 20 trees.
While you're aware, to keep all the neighbors happy and everybody else, if
Right.
somebody takes down all those big trees, you have to do something with that too. Those aren't gonna last forever.
No, they get stressed.
Yeah, but they look pretty good for the age, I thought, pretty good, they weren't so much underneath, understory's gone, you could pretty well cover everything up.
And to that point, Mr. Chair, one of the 2 conditions that the rezoning was approved with was maintenance and upkeep of the tree line. So as you guys state, some of these trees might not be on their property. If those get cut down on somebody else's property, right, they would need to reinstall on their property.
That's why I wanted to kind of bring it cleaned up.
So as far as the number goes, I think we've kind of determined it's gotta be,
At
you know,
least
5 to 6 foot, and 20 or 25 or less than 20.
Yeah, no less than 20. I'm not up to it tonight. Yeah. You're right.
Okay, I will make a motion
Okay.
to, I guess that's the proper term, but, accept things as presented with the condition that the applicant would plant 25 trees, between 5 and 6 foot, depending on, you know, what they can get up, so no less than 5 feet tall, along the north property line as well as the east property line.
I'll support that.
That would be 25 trees all together instead of along each line.
Yes,
Right.
yes, 25 trees total. Obviously,
Well,
So are you looking
Whatever.
at a maple tree, an oak tree, a conifer tree, a
Oh.
evergreen tree?
evergreen,
Yeah.
evergreens.
preferably a pine, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So you put it,
Evergreen trees.
yeah, you don't want leaves.
And then I thought I heard that motion say to be field verified by the zoning administrator or building
Joe is,
inspector, was it?
who's gonna be the voice of the planning commission, in the eyes, I should say, of the planning commission.
Okay.
Years.
Could be the ears too.
And you should put it headed the Paradise Event Center too. In the address, 600 West Dryden Road.
Okay, go ahead, do you want me to restate the whole thing again?
If you'd like.
I got it right. I have read it.
Well, we'll back to it.
If you'd like.
Okay, read that.
Okay, we're gonna say it's a motion to approve the site plan application for Paradise Event Center at 600 West Dryden Road with the condition that the applicant is to plant a total of 25 evergreen trees between 5 and 6 feet tall along the north property line as well as the east property line. And they are to be field verified by the zoning administrator, Joe Israel.
And then didn't you say something about a maintenance plan in case one dies, replacement
It needs to be replaced,
for the conditional zoning?
along with what you mentioned about keeping the property line.
Maintenance.
Yes.
What are we saying about a maintenance plan, Jim, please?
Let's just say applicant must comply with their conditional rezoning.
Right.
Approved in November 23.
Support.
Motion made, seconded. Let's have a roll call. Vote.
Applicant must comply with conditional rezoning,
We're over.
conditional rezoning from the
From township, yeah. Planning commission, yeah.
very good. Roll call vote. Dan Miller is absent. Tom Wise.
Aye.
Andrew Derderian.
Yes.
Phil Bellinger.
Yes.
Nick Holden.
Yes.
Lance Gould.
Yes.
George Nash.
Yes.
I have one more note for the applicant that doesn't affect the motion that was just
Okay.
made. Sorry, I forgot to bring this up. Page 6 of our review, you note that a future sign location on there. And Joe will work with you on this when you go for the sign permit, but where it's placed right now, that looks to be within our clear vision area.
Okay.
There's a triangle when you enter a driveway, basically it's 10 feet up and 10 feet to this. So if you go along the property line, 10 feet on the driveway, and then you go, not making much sense. If you go north-south, right there, and then if you go east-west, right when you enter the driveway and you create a triangle.
Let me just look at
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. It's a very common provision. So big on this driveway,
Yeah.
right there, and
Okay.
right there. So triangle that kind of goes like that,
Okay.
and triangle that kind of goes like that.
Okay.
Those are two areas that you can't have anything
Okay.
over like 2 feet in height then.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, that sign location looks to be within that area.
Okay.
And we just ask that
Move it
it's.
back. Okay, all right, that's fine.
And
Yeah.
it's also gonna be noted, it's gonna be a lighted sign.
Absolutely, and we'll hammer all that out in their sign permit when they come for it.
We have that.
Helps you move right along.
Yeah.
No, I think that covers it.
Thanks for your guys' support.
New plan, Mr. Keller, you got anything you wanna?
I'd like to maybe start the discussion, and maybe I can continue it in future months about solar, renewable energy in the state. I'd like to kind of I can talk with Joe about this privately too. Any threat of solar coming to the township that anyone is aware of so far? No? Okay, good. So one thing that we're recommending to some of our clients is, understand if you have any major transmission lines that run throughout your township. So across the state, there's lots of these existing massive power lines that are bored underground. And our speculation is that the big developers will probably target anywhere where that line is existing. So we're encouraging everybody to be aware of if that line is there. That's something that we can help you all to. I can create a map, look and see if there's the closest transmission line to the township. But that's really all. And then another question that I have for you all: is there a solar? Do you all have a solar ordinance at this time? No.
Think so.
No, but the state has made rulings, and they're gonna override pretty much
The
everything
township, right?
over a township, but then there's also one that they're gonna be doing a referendum on that. There's another vote that's gonna strip that back away, so it's still in its
Right.
infancy on it. And one of the other things that I'm aware of is that Metamora Township had one, and then a neighboring township had one, and the utility company comes in and wants to do it. Both of the townships have to be agreed on their ordinances, or they throw them both out.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, they,
That presents a problem.
right, and I don't know that this township has that acreage available to where a farmer would give up his land to have solar versus planting.
There's a lot of properties though on M24 that's for sale. And every time I go up and down M24, I think about it because I'm thinking, they'll just tell us, we're gonna put that
Right.
there. And I think there's a petition out to counteract
There
what
is.
they're in. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sign it because,
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty with this law. I attended a webinar with like some of the state's best lawyers, some of the state's best planners, and was very confusing. They were very confused. Some conclusions that were drawn. A few of the lawyers said we're gonna have to wait till this plays out in court. That's ridiculous.
we're taking the power away from the townships.
Say again.
I said they are taking away the power of the townships.
They are.
To
That's
regulate everything.
They are, yeah. I will say there's a bit of confusion. This is only for fairly large developments. Is it 50 megawatts?
50 and greater.
50 and greater. I believe I was told right now with the technology about, think 5 to 10 acres per megawatt. So that's a pretty large development.
Land grab.
Land grab, yeah, but there's no threat of eminent domain, none of that stuff, you know, there'd be an uprising if there was. Most of the solar developments that we have worked on for clients similar to Metamora are way smaller than that. So that would mean any development that's smaller than that 50 megawatts will still be reviewed at the local level, is how the bill is written right now. But as Joe said, there's a referendum come up for it, they're probably gonna revoke this completely. The Public Service Commission has never done anything to this capacity. You know, they need to hire a staff of 20 planners and train them all how to do site plan reviews, right?
Yeah.
They have no idea how to do that. They're freaking out internally is what we're aware of. So there's still a lot of things to come with this, but it's important to, you know, be knowledgeable about what's going on.
Thank you
Yeah.
for updating that, but also, according to our policies, the planner is supposed to give a yearly report. So
Annual
that-
report?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry that was
Well, you
not.
didn't know that.
I didn't know that, no, I didn't know
I'm
that.
informing you.
Thank you very much. So you all need an annual report.
Yeah.
And we need you, I'm asking about the master plan revisit. I think we're getting
About
closer.
getting
Getting
closer,
close?
yeah.
Exciting, okay.
Not really,
We can
but
just
excited.
review it and
You
change
know, we
it.
need to kind of review it.
Yeah,
See
what's,
where we're lacking or.
okay. Yeah, what's the intent of the board? When was it updated last?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, don't
Okay.
I know about 7 years ago.
And was that,
Every 5 years.
It's every 5 years.
was that, you know, but not every update is the same. Sometimes
No.
your community goes through
We
a
just-
full, no, just a
I
sign
think
off.
we just added maybe 1 or 2 things to it the last time.
Is the intent of the commission to do a large overhaul?
Well,
No.
they
Our
was
our
sugar.
previous planner, Berkshire, he wanted to redo the whole thing.
Well,
Every 5 years, he charges all that money.
exactly,
That's one of the
exactly.
reasons he's gone.
Sure. Well, I work for you all, so you tell me how far you wanna go, and then we can, your township board does have to, you need funds for it, so the township board needs to allocate some funds for it. But, an update of that capacity is probably $5,000 to $10,000 is what I would estimate.
Well, you can check.
I'll mention it to the board at the next meeting.
Great.
Okay. We just didn't wanna get way behind the eight ball.
We can control what.
Yeah. I'll bring it up in future meetings, we can keep it open discussion.
Dave is gonna keep it low.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah, Dave's six.
Okay, need one more motion.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Okay, now that we're off the record,
Yeah.
the Public Service Commission is raising our electrical bills.
They've done that.
So the Detroit Edison will go to them and say, I need more trucks, I need more of this, I need more of that.
Yeah.
Then the Public
would be a great
Service
use for the
Commission is the one
best
that's
giant
okay,
solar
yeah,
farms.
you can have it.
The best
So with
farmland,
the
they say is
solar
not profitable.
ordinance
Make a
coming
giant
out,
solar farm.
the major utility companies are saying, we're gonna save so much money,
Yeah.
but none of it ever comes to us, our bills.
They're gonna save their money, they're gonna raise our rates.
Right.
Yeah, it's taking 2 years. They came today and they did a lot of measuring and everything because gas lines are running parallel to our electrical.
Okay.
And so the pileated woodpecker that we have on our property
Oh.
has done a job to one of our poles.
Okay,
It's taken 2 years for them to come out and replace it.
They're not in a hurry.
nice.
I mean, we can see through the
Yeah.
poles, and that's how thorough that woodpecker is.
Well, and you all know the outages that the state experienced over the last year. Some just
Yeah.
inexcusable outages for lengths of time that are
Well, they've
way too long.
subcontracted everything out, and they don't care.
They don't
I
care.
personally don't see where solar is cost effective.
It isn't. Look at, we didn't have sun this whole month.
So
the
One or
Fire
two
Keepers
days.
Casino invested
Yeah,
in a
they
solar
will
It was
power
Sunday.
company,
Right.
It was 60.
and that was 5 years ago, maybe 6.
If we
And
do
that company
away
sold
with
a
all
lot of old,
power,
outdated junk,
we're gonna
and
be
then went out of
freezing in
business.
the winter.
So they were left holding an empty bag.
Go figure.
And then the casino then peddled all of that to another company,
Yeah.
and so there would be a lot of
They don't-
switching hands.
They don't care.
You got a friend that's got an electric car, and he had it for lunch the other day, it was real cold.
Yeah.
He made it to Flint, he didn't have enough power to make it to Lansing, so he turned around and come back over there.
It's the batteries in this pole. Right, that's something that's not talked about enough. I don't wanna buy an EV in the state right now because I don't trust the battery in the winter.
I don't want one,
But
period. You
even
might
the
catch
summer,
fire in
it's
your
running
garage,
the air conditioning, it's.
burn your house down.
Takes it quicker, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone pull your snowmobile shirt.
Our lights all flicker at night.
Yeah.
Once you leave it.
Yes, this is-
No.